Hey everybody, I'm back. I asked you to meet me here at 7 o'clock live to talk to you about sudden loss, coping with the loss of a loved one. And again, tonight I want to talk to you about sudden loss and how do you, how did I cope with losing my loved one suddenly with no warning. Again, here 1 minute, gone the next. Some of you may know my story. I've been married for 4.5 years, and we lost my husband suddenly. Again, no warning. He had not been sick, had not been in the hospital for a long period of time, so there was no signs. I'm young, he's young, and who knew that I would lose him at such a young age? Who knew? But when you're dealing with sudden loss, I've talked about it before, how devastating it could be. How you can't prepare yourself mentally for it, and how hard it can be. So, one of the things I wanted to suggest to people that are still having a hard time dealing with the loss of a loved one is counseling. There is nothing wrong with counseling. Nothing wrong with talking to someone about your issue. For me, because it was a sudden loss and it was so devastating, I felt like I needed to talk to somebody, because if I did not, I felt like I was going to lose it. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, cuz I'm trying. I'm trying to help somebody. But many times, for those of you that are Christians and that know the Lord, you may feel like, or people may make you feel like you don't need counseling, or counseling is for crazy people, or you're supposed to know the Lord and be so sound and so sane that you don't need any help but help from the Master. And God is our help. Had it not been for God, I probably would have lost my mind. But something in me said that I needed to talk to somebody. So a friend of mine referred me to grief counseling. And for those of you that live in Memphis, there is Good Grief. Good Grief Counseling Center, and it's by Baptist Collierville. It's behind Baptist Collierville, and it's free. It's free counseling sessions, and the only thing they ask, if you can, is to make a charitable donation. They do not charge you for seeking out one of their counselors. But for those that have lost a loved one suddenly, or for those that have lost a loved one, period, in your city, if you're not in Memphis, if you're in other cities, there may be other places that offer free counseling. Yes, I could have talked to my pastor. Yes, I could have counseled with him, because he is a counselor. But I chose to counsel with somebody that didn't know me. Somebody that I could be totally honest with. I didn't have to worry about them saying you should be bigger than this. You know, I understand you lost somebody, but you got to keep yourself together. You got to get yourself together. Because at that time, I could not get myself together. I could not get myself together. I needed to talk to someone. So I sought out. I went to this Good Grief Counseling Center and spoke with the counselor. And they're just going to let you talk. They're just going to let you express your anger if you're angry. They're going to let you express your hurts. They're going to let you say whatever it is that you need to say, because it is so important to get it out. There is nothing wrong with seeking counseling. There's nothing wrong with talking to someone. They help you to recognize what your issue is. What is your problem with everything that happened to you? They help you to realize what it is. And so, yes, I went to counseling. And I would, suggest that for you if you're continuing to have problems, if you're continuing to struggle as that anniversary gets closer to their death. It's like you relive that story all over again. You relive that moment all over again, and you begin to grieve all over again. So yes, it is important for you to talk to someone about it, to reach out to in your city where you live. Look and reach out and see if there is free counseling offered, even if it's not at a grief counseling center. As I said, in Memphis, we do have one here behind Baptist Collierville. It's called Good Grief. And I had a friend to tell me about it, and I'm so grateful to her. And everyone that I know, that I come in contact with, that I know that has lost a loved one, I tried to offer that because someone offered it to me, that it was free. And so that's one of my points I'm going to say. Dealing with sudden loss or loss at all. There's nothing wrong with seeking out counseling. Nothing wrong with talking about your anger, your hurt, your fears. For me, I was beginning to face everything alone again. I no longer had my husband, so I was standing alone again, having to make decisions that he made or we made together. I was on my own again. So to go from being married to suddenly single to suddenly widowed at 34. No, was I 34? No, I was 38. To suddenly be single again at 38 years old. Get your mind right, 39. And I'm sitting on that front row and I'm saying, this is not supposed to be me. This is not supposed to be me in the front seat of this limo. This is not supposed to be me sitting on this front row. This is not supposed to be me at this burial site sitting on the front row as the wife. So yes, quite shocking for me. And you may know somebody that has experienced a loss, whether again sudden or not. There's nothing wrong with counseling. If you're saved, it doesn't say you're not saved. If you're in trouble, if your marriage in trouble, you seek a counselor. That's what you're supposed to do. So there's nothing wrong with looking for help. There's nothing wrong with looking for help. Number 2, it's hard when you don't get to say goodbye. When you don't get to say goodbye, when suddenly your loved one is here one minute, gone the next, be it because of a sudden sickness, you didn't know they were going to leave here. Some were killed tragically in accidents. However, they were taken away from you. You didn't get a chance to make sure that they knew that you loved them. Even though you knew that you loved them and you knew you said it many, many times, I wanted to be sure that he knew. Lord, did he know how much I loved him? And so I didn't get to say, I love you again before he left. And I didn't get to say goodbye. And so I felt cheated. And so when you have those different type of emotions, it's okay to journal it. You're going to need to talk about it. For those of you that just refuse to talk to somebody, you feel like you can't talk to a counselor. Again, I talked to a stranger, somebody who didn't know me, who I didn't think would judge me, but journal it. I remember I got so many journals after I lost my husband. I don't know if it's because I'm a writer or what, but I got a lot of gifts and they were journals. And did I start writing immediately? No. I wasn't able to write about it. I was able to talk about it with certain people, and I didn't want to talk about it too long because I didn't want to feel like I was getting on their nerve, or, oh, here she go again. And so probably 6 weeks, I journaled it. I started writing in my journal, and I started pouring out my heart, my disappointments, how I felt about the situation. So yes, I'm going to encourage you to seek out counseling. If you don't want to seek out counseling, journal it. Write it down. Get you a journal. Pour out your heart. Nobody has to know what's in your journal but you and God. Journal it. If you have someone you can talk to, talk about it. Get it out. And the last thing, because I try to keep these under 5 minutes, and I think I might be over because counseling, I stayed on there a little bit longer than I planned on. But letting go. I'm not going to tell you when to let go or how to let go, because letting go is not easy. When I'm talking about letting go, I'm saying you have to know when it's time to let go of certain things. Certain things can cause you to be a little bit more weighted, a little bit more heavy. And you have to know when it's time to let go of certain things. Certain things like their clothing. Certain things like their belongings. Their shoes, their clothes. For me, because some changes that I decided to make, I had to decided to leave the home where we stayed because it was going to be too hard for me to still staying at home. And so it was for me to get rid of some of his clothing was quicker probably than maybe you would hold on to your stuff. But what I did was I kept some of the clothing that I liked to see him in, this shirt and these jeans that I like to see him wear, and this tie he used to wear with this suit. And so several articles that I liked a lot, I took those and I had a memory quilt made. And so I was able to keep keep some of his clothing in that memory quilt. But I felt when it was time for me to let go of the clothing. Again, I was in a position where I had to let go of his belongings. But oddly enough, I kept his shoes. There was one pair of shoes that I kept, and I kept them under the bed. And you might think I'm crazy. I don't even know why I kept them under the bed.